Hi, I'm John Barber, Editor-in-Chief at IDW Publishing, and welcome to Barber Shop. Some scheduling snafus over the past couple weeks have crept up. I think it's apparent that no expense is spared in the production here. It's hard to get my camera crew, a ladder and a cardboard box, in place at short notice. All of which means I'm talking about a comic a little later than usual here. It came out a couple weeks ago, but I don't want to skip it. I'm talking about Locke Key in Pale Battalions Go #1. I've got a few reasons for wanting to talk about this. One, it's the start of a new 3-issue Locke Key series by creators Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez, which is always big news. And Joe and Gabe, two of the most wonderful people in comics, are joined, as always, by colorist Jay Photos, letterer Sean Lee, and editor Chris Ryle. Two, this is the first new Locke Key comic since the debut of the Netflix TV series. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where that goes in season 2. So we're probably welcoming some new readers to the family. Hi! 3, and this isn't a surprise because it's Locke Key and it's by the crew I just named. This new comic is really good. 4, it's also a whole new cast. Well, it's actually an old cast, one you may have met if you've been following everything Locke Key, but it's a different cast than we're used to seeing headlining the series, and it's set in olden times. So, if you followed Locke Key on TV or in comics and graphic novels, you probably know that Keyhouse, the iconic setting of the series, has been in the Locke family for generations. While the main 6 volumes of the series deal with the modern-day Locke kids, Tyler, Kinsey, and Bodhi, the comics have explored the history and legacy of Keyhouse in stories like Small World and Dog Days. And now, Locke Key in Pale Battalions Go takes us back to the spring of 1915 when Chamberlin Locke, who some of you may remember from the story Open the Moon, well, Chamberlin's oldest son, John, is faced with an overwhelming fear. A fear that he's going to miss out on World War I. See, he thinks this will be the last war ever. And that's not an unreasonable or unusual thought for the time. They called it the war to end all wars, and it was really, really horrible. Chamberlin Locke has told his son, "The violence of the fight shall wake man from the bad dream of history, and there will ever after be only peace." Nevertheless, John's a young kid who's thinking of the glory of war. But he's also got an angle. With the Locke family's magical keys at his disposal, John thinks he could use those keys' powers and, he believes, end the war quickly, saving lives. John's parents, of course, want him nowhere near the war. He's not even close to being old enough to enlist, if America were even in the war at this point. But John's a resourceful kid. The keys are powerful tools, and the glory of war is an alluring thing. If you're new to Locke Key, this is a cool place to jump in. It'll show you some of the history that weighs so heavily on the present, and more pressingly, the future of the Locke family. And you don't need to know anything about these characters to be drawn into their story. You will want to know more, but you don't have to. As you may have heard, later this year we'll be seeing a crossover between Locke Key and Neil Gaiman's Sandman universe, with Joe and Gabe and crew working with Mr. Gaiman and her friends at DC Comics. That series is called Hell and Gone, and this series, in Pale Battalions Go, sets the stage for the crossover we've all dreamed of. We've all dreamed of unlocking? Ugh. That's too much of a stretch for a bad pun, even for me, I'm sorry. But the story does get its start here, and in Pale Battalions Go issue 1 has the first hint of what's to come. And as a longtime fan, I can honestly say I was delighted by what's hinted at. So check our web store or your local comic shop or bookseller and grab a copy of Locke Key in Pale Battalions Go #1, or any Locke Key volume for that matter. And as always, let's use this time to connect and keep the IDW community active. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll answer what I can. And hey, thanks for the kind words, Twilight Sparkle. That's all for this week. Remember, you can keep up with IDW on social media and check back here every week for news and updates. Thanks for watching.